Hello and welcome to the Mindful Knitter channel. This is our podcast episode today, episode 6, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. This is, if you're new, a channel that is primarily about knitting, but I do talk about other fiber related things like crocheting, weaving, felting, all kinds of stuff we will get into, as well as other like crafty, artsy life stuff. And then there's also a mindfulness component, as you can probably tell from the title. Since I am a yoga teacher and I incorporate a lot of mindfulness in my professional life, and it's a huge part of my personal life, I figured that if I was going to have a knitting channel, it needed to be a big part of that as well. So welcome. I am very glad that you're here. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm so happy you come hang out with me every week. And again, if you're new, I mostly do podcast episodes, but I also will upload some vlogs, and I might be doing Vlogmas. I'm kind of planning on doing Vlogmas this year, starting in December. And I guess I post some other random things too. And another thing I think I am going to start doing, hopefully I'll get it started this week, is I want to start a playlist on the channel for the mindfulness practices and the mindfulness segments, because in each podcast episode I do have a mindfulness segment, but I figured it might be kind of helpful to have those as separate, like short videos on their own. So if you ever want to revisit them or do the practices on your own outside of watching them in a podcast, it might be helpful to have them as like their own separate kind of playlist so you can access them more easily. So I am planning on getting that up this week and having all of the mindfulness segments that we've had so far on that playlist. So be on the lookout for that soon. Other things about me, just if you are new, if you're not new, feel free to skip this the first like 2 or 3 minutes, or the next 2 or 3 minutes. But I live in the southeast of the United States with my husband Alex, our 2 dogs Murphy and Nolly, and our antisocial hamster Crema. I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, social media. You can find me on social media. Gosh, you'd think that I'd have like a rhythm down by episode 6, but I don't know. I should have like a whiteboard behind the camera so that I can like be reminded as I go. I have it written down here, but I don't know. Doesn't flow as well. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so you can find me on social media. On Instagram, I am the.mindfulknitter. And I do post on there several times a week. Some weeks I'm more active than others, but I do try to post on there every week. And then I'm also on Ravelry. On Ravelry, I think it's Mindful Knitter Pod on Ravelry, because the Mindful Knitter was already taken and variations of it were taken. So I think it's Mindful Knitter Pod. And then we have a group on Ravelry as well, which is the Mindful Knitter Podcast. And all this information will be in the description below, so no need to try to remember all of that now. And if I said it wrong, it is correct in the description below. So yeah, I'm happy to have you here with us, or with me today. I guess us, because we're all collectively watching. I'm the only one talking. But you can comment below and kind of talk too. Anyway, okay. So I guess today we'll kind of get into things. So format of the episode is I talk about finished objects, works in progress, sometimes upcoming projects, and then the mindfulness segment, acquisitions, some sort of knitting related topic or life topic that has something to do with knitting sometimes, and then like questions. So like I'll answer questions that you guys ask me, and then I will ask you questions because I'm curious perpetually. So getting into finished objects. So the first finished object, if you've watched previous episodes, then this one's obvious. I am wearing it. So I finished my arts sweater. So this is the arts sweater from the company We Are Knitters, and it's like a nice boxy, kind of loose fit, with fun loose sleeves that hit, when I'm not all slouched up, they do hit like right at the wrist, so they're like, I don't know, they ended up being like the perfect length. Is this a, no, this is the, is that a dab, is it called dabbing? I feel like this was a dance thing that like went all over social media for a while. I'm obviously very connected to this. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, it was a great, easy, quick knit. I could have knit this in a week probably if this had been the only thing I was knitting, and if I was, I don't know, if I had a few hours to knit every day, but I knit it slowly over the course of several weeks, while also knitting a bunch of socks and things. So it was great. This is the kit comes with, if you're not familiar with We Are Knitters, it's a cool company. They've got all kinds of yarn and notions and kits for not just knitting, but also crochet, embroidery, weaving, I think macrame, crunch needling. They've got a bunch of different stuff. It's a very cool company. And their kits are also organized, or yeah, organized, grouped by like skill level, or like the types of skills that they include. So this was a beginner kit, because I wanted something really, I wanted something very easy that would not take up a lot of my brain power. So yeah, the kits come with the yarn. You get to pick what color or colors that you want for the yarn it comes with, but it includes the yarn, any notions that you'll need, the pattern, one or two like extra things, and then the needles, and you can opt out of the needles. So if you've already got plenty of needles in your house, then you do not need to have the needles in the kit. So I opted out of the needles, and it does take like $8 or something off of the, like $8-ish. It might be a little more or less, but yeah, takes that off of the price. So it's very cool. So for those of you who are curious, this came with 5 skeins of their petite wool in the spotted mauve colorway. I knitted the medium size, but I only ended up using like 4 of the 5 skeins. I have almost an entire skein left. Yeah, so I had almost an entire skein left. I knitted maybe, I was on this sleeve, I think I knitted like 2 more rows, and then I used the yarn for piecing it together, because this is knit flat and then you piece the body and the sleeves and things together. So yeah, I did not need all of that yarn, but now I've got some extra yarn in case I wanted to make like a hat to go with it, or something like that, which is fun. But yeah, just for reference, I knit the medium size, and I haven't blocked this or anything, so it has not grown. I don't know if it would grow very much after blocking, but yeah, this is unblocked, and it's like perfectly like fine. So I don't know if you typically wear a medium. Well, the smallest kit that you can get is for the medium or small, and then for like large, extra large, that sort of thing, they add more skeins of yarn. So yeah, something to be mindful of when trying to think about how much yarn you need. Each skein was 100 grams, so this sweater took just slightly over 400 grams, maybe 405 grams of yarn. Not much at all. So yeah, very fun project. I really enjoyed it. It's soft, it's super easy to wear. I even feel like I could wear it to work. Oh, and a modification that I made, because no, I mean, I can never just follow the pattern, but I did. I tried really hard to just follow the pattern for this, but the way the pattern is written, you join to here, to where like this edging stops, or this little border stops, and that's where you like join. I obviously joined to here, and that's because, as you can tell, if I did stop there at first on either side, which meant that this sweater was like an off the shoulder sweater, which I didn't really want. I wanted like a nice boat neck, but I didn't really want like something off the shoulder because it didn't feel as warm. I felt like I was gonna be messing with it a lot, trying to keep it on my shoulders. So I modified that and I just brought it in a little bit so that it's like just a nice like boat neck kind of deal. And I'm very happy with it. I would recommend it. It was great fun. I have a couple of more kits from We Are Knitters that I will probably begin after the holidays. And I'm really looking forward to starting those. So yes, so that is the Arts sweater by We Are Knitters. So hooray! Revel in its glory. I'm very pleased with it. Okay, I'm back. I had to leave for a moment because my husband has been gone again this weekend fishing, and he just got home, and he came in the room to say hello to me because he didn't realize that I was filming. So I went and said hi to him and helped him clean out my car because he took my car, and he and his friend ate while driving a lot, so I cleaned out my car while he unloaded all of their stuff. So I'm back now though. So I finished off with talking about the Arts sweater, and so now my second finish object is my socks that I started, that I guess I sneak peeked for you guys last week. I don't know, is it a sneak peek if it's like just part of my like works in progress? I feel like it's not a sneak peek in that case. I feel like it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's not a sneak peek. But anyway, so these are my socks that I was knitting last week, and I finished a couple days ago. And I'm calling them, I think, my butterfly socks because they make me think of butterfly wings. So here they are. So this is on Nanette Wake Studio sock yarn. This is her Primrose colorway, and her sock yarn is 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. It's wonderfully soft. These are super, super soft. Here's its friend. And I kind of like that the two, like one is slightly more saturated than the other. You can kind of tell, which I think is fun. So you can kind of see like how the skein kind of develops as you knit with it, because the dye is a little different throughout the whole skein. So yeah, this one's a little bit more vibrant than this one. I'll put it on the blocker so you can see it too. But yeah, it knit up lovely. It knit up very well, very nicely. I did the 2x2 rib at the top, and did the contrast heel and toe. The heel and toe are in a purple sock yarn that I dyed. So you cannot get that colorway anyway because I dyed it myself. But yes, so this used about probably 40-ish grams of her sock yarn, and then I did my contrast heels and toes, which was probably between 5 and 10 grams. So I would probably say that I used about 40 grams of this yarn, and then probably 5 grams of this, and so I've probably got like 10 or 15 grams left over. This is me just like guessing, because this is what I've got left over. Yeah. So just this wee lad. So this will go into my box of scraps. I have a little shoe box full of all of the scrap yarn so that I can save it all for scrap projects. So I'm excited to put this guy in there. But yeah, these are my butterfly socks. I think I had mentioned to you guys last week that I was missing one of my DPNs. So I actually knit these using 4 size US 1 DPNs and 1 1.5. And this was also the first pair of socks that I have knit using Crazy Sock Lady's pattern in the small size on size 1 DPNs. Usually I knit her size small on 1.5s for myself, but my socks do end up being slightly too big. So I tried it this way and we'll see how these wear. They go on snugly. They don't feel too small when they go on. They just go on very snugly. So I'll let you guys know how they work out with wear and how they kind of stretch out with time, because you probably experience this too. The more that you wash and wear your socks, the more they stretch out over time. So the first socks that I knit have become fairly baggy. I can usually just wear them the one time before I have to like wash and block them again. And by block, I mean I wash them and then I lay them out flat on a flat surface, and then to let them dry that way. And I kind of pat them into shape. But yeah, so we'll see how these do. I'm thinking, since these were a little on the snug side, what I might do for my next pair is I might knit them using like 2 or 3 1.5 DPNs, and then, you know, 2 or 3, depending on the number I go with, size 1 DPNs. And I might do my narrow ankle, my ankle decrease, and I will see how that goes, because I am wearing these puppies. These are my Regia socks that I showed in my last episode. I feel like my back is still not like perfectly great, so like, although the fact that I can get my leg up this far is probably great, since I couldn't like move 2 weeks ago. So I couldn't walk or do anything by myself 2 weeks ago, so that's good. But anyway, with these socks, I knit them on 1.5s, but I decreased the like last 10 rows right here, and I decreased this little heel flap so that the ankle was a bit narrower than the leg and the foot, because my ankles are fairly small, so all of my socks get pretty baggy around the ankle and they start sliding around and I have to keep pulling them up. It's irritating. So that's what I might do for my next socks. I didn't do that with these since I knit these on smaller needles. So we'll see. I'm experimenting. Yeah, I'm experimenting. So these were my finished objects. I have my arts sweater and my butterfly socks, and I'm very happy with them. I'm excited to wear my butterfly socks. I'm trying not to wear my socks before I show them to you now, other than to try them on, because of that one time I showed you my stained glass socks and they were dirty when I showed them to you. And I was so upset about it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, somebody was like, those really are stained glass socks. You're correct, they really were. I'll try never to show you dirty socks again. So yes. Next, we will talk about whips. So my works in progress. I have cast on right now a pair of socks for Christmas present. So I don't really want to say, I don't think any of them watch this podcast actually. So these are, well, no, I won't say who they're for because some family members might watch the podcast sometimes. So anyway, these are for a family member. These are on the Patons Kroy FX sock, or Patons Kroy sock FX, which is a little bit softer than the just Patons Kroy sock. I don't know if that's the FX or like what that's about, but these are softer than like the Route 66 colorway that I'd shown you guys few weeks ago. And this is the Celestial Colors colorway. They say to use a US 2 needle, which is what I'm using because I cast these on while I was in Wisconsin a few weeks ago on a 1.5, and the fabric I was getting was just way too dense. So I did have to do a size 2 needle, and that's working much better. It's still giving me a pretty dense fabric, but it's a much more like flexible, flowy, dense fabric. So I think that the size 2 needle is appropriate for this, at least for the gauge that I knit at. I could probably do like a 2.5 and get away with it, honestly, but I think I might knit a little tight. This is 75% wool, 25% nylon, 166 yards in 50 grams. So yeah, it's more of a sport weight kind of sock yarn, but I like it. And so this is the Celestial Colors colorway. Got a lot of purples and teal, and a little bit of like a grayish in parts of the yarn. It's like a gray purple in parts of the yarn. Like I won't show you the whole sock, but it knits up as kind of like an ombre, like gradient kind of deal. So it's knitting up kind of big though. I'm honestly a little concerned that these socks are going to be too big for the recipient, but they should be able to be machine washable, which is good. So hopefully they will, I don't know, maybe shrink a little when they wash. Socks tend to grow the more you wear them and wash them, but maybe they'll shrink a little, or maybe these will just be cozy house socks. And I'm already thinking about knitting her a second pair of socks. So I will just be sure to knit her second pair of socks a little smaller. But what I'm gonna do before I panic about any of that is I'm going to have my husband try these on, because his foot is actually almost exactly the measurements of her foot. So if these fit him just fine or are pretty close, then I won't worry about it, and I'll just not worry about it. But yeah, it's pretty quick. Sport weight yarn knits up fast because it is a little bulkier. So I am pleased with how these are going, and I'm happy to be getting my holiday knitting underway. And right now this is in my project bag from a Stitchy Girl Studio, available on Etsy. It's got the pink lining with a couple little contrast pockets. So this is one of my very favorite project bags. I love the little knitting kittens. So it makes me very pleased. The other project, I haven't actually cast this on yet, but I'm casting it on later today. So I'll go ahead and pull the yarn out for it, since I am sitting right here and the yarn for it is living right here. So I asked my niece, well, one of my nieces, she's 3 years old. I asked her what she wanted me to knit her, or what color she wanted me to use for her Christmas present that I was knitting for her. And she said very, very adamantly pink, as only a 3-year-old can be so adamant when, you know, stating a color. So I have 3 different pinks, and I guess I'll walk you through each of them. I got them from sale bins from a delightful sale from Dixie Knits yarn shop in Pensacola, Florida. And I actually have something else from them that I'm going to show you guys later in acquisitions. But they had an awesome semi-annual sale while I was down there this summer, and I think 2 of these I got for $2. No, I got all 3 of these for $2 each, which is so awesome. So this is Simplicity by Heiko, and it is 55% merino superwash, 28% acrylic, 17% nylon, 117 yards in 50 grams. And it's just this lovely little almost, it's not really showing up on camera, but it has a very slight lilac tint to the pink. It's very pretty and it's nice and soft. This is the same Simplicity, Simplicity by Heiko. Oh, the colorway. This is Simp 021. This is, no, it's not. This doesn't have a colorway name on it. Bubblegum. They put the colorways, the names on different parts of the tags on both of these tags. So that's interesting. Okay. So this is the bubblegum colorway, which makes sense. It's fairly bubblegum-ish. This one is Bloom Rose. And the same makeup for this with the merino, nylon, and acrylic. And then this one is Lang Yarns. This is their Cashmerino for babies and more, it says. Awesome. 55% merino, 33% microfiber, 12% cashmere. And I'm not seeing a colorway name on this one. Yeah, I'm not seeing, is it under here? No. I don't know the colorway name for this. Sorry about that, but I think that these three together are very cute. And then if this isn't enough yarn for her Christmas present, then I do have some other pink yarn that came in some like packs that I got that I could mix with it. The other yarn that I have is fingering weight, but I think it would work okay. Yeah, I think it would work okay. So what she's wanting, or what I'm making for her, are a pair of mittens and a cowl. So I realized that I don't have her hand size, and I guess I could look online. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could look at a chart online for children's or toddlers mittens, but I figure I'm gonna see her in a few days anyway for Thanksgiving, so I'm just gonna measure her hand while I'm there. Like, we can make little like hand turkeys, and then I can ask her to do like one like this for me so that I know how big her hand is. So I think what I'm gonna do instead of her mittens tonight is I'm gonna cast on her cowl, probably after I get done filming this, actually. And we'll see what I do. I'm not doing a pattern or anything. So I'd like to do a little bit of color work. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do for color work yet, but I would like to do a little bit of color work. So we'll see what I come up with for that. I could just do stripes, but I'd like to do, I don't know, a little bit more interesting color work. And I'd like to for her mittens as well. But yeah, so those are works in progress at the moment. I've already got another pair of socks ready to cast on when I'm done with these socks, but I like to work on 1 to 3 projects at a time. I don't really like to have a lot of projects going on all at once. It stresses me out, and I can't enjoy it as much. I end up spending all day thinking about the projects that I have on my needles that I need. Having things unfinished really bothers me, which is just something I'm working on in life, in general, because obviously not everything can be finished all the time in life. So I would lead a very hard, stressful life if I just let that bother me about everything. But for my hobby, if my hobby doesn't have to be stressful, I'm not going to let it. So I keep my works and projects 3 or less, unless there's some sort of extraneous circumstance. Like if I have like a I don't know, like a blanket or something I'm working on, or like the shawl, my autumnal shawl I was working on for like over a year. So I had that on the needles for a while. But yeah, I don't like to have a bunch of little stuff on the needles. Like I kind of want to just start it and then just finish it. So I don't really care how long it takes me to finish it. So I'm not trying to like knit as fast as possible in order to just like speedily get things out and like get a bunch of products out. But I definitely don't like to have more than one. I don't like to have so many things in my mind being juggled all at the same time. So I don't really care how fast I knit it. But I don't like to have too many things to think about at the same time. I have too many other things to think about in my life. My knitting doesn't have to be another one of those areas. So those are the things for this week that I'm working on. Is finishing the socks and getting that cowl hopefully finished. It's for a toddler, so I don't anticipate it will take very long. And I think I'm going to knit it in the round. And since I'm going to be making up fun color work as I go, I imagine it'll go pretty quick. So I'm excited about that. Alrighty, so we've done finished objects, whips. So acquisitions. I'm doing my acquisitions a little bit differently this week because it is Thanksgiving week. And I actually struggled with doing any kind of acquisitions at all because I wanted to focus more on things I've already have that I'm really like grateful for, rather than a bunch of like new stuff that I've recently gotten. Even though there's nothing wrong with having new things and being excited about them, I love new things. My husband actually says I'm like a gnome. I constantly need new things or else I'll start to wilt. If you're familiar at all with like, mythology or fantasy stuff, like in the fantasy world, gnomes often they don't have like new stimulating things all the time. They like die. So he calls me a gnome. So I like new things, but since it's Thanksgiving week, I kind of wanted to combine my mindfulness segment and my acquisition segment and focus more on things that I have that I'm very grateful for in relation to my knitting specifically. So I'll do that in a moment. But first, I did want to share this one acquisition with you guys, just in case you were interested in getting it in the next week or two. So this is from Dixie Knits. The shop in Pensacola that I mentioned to you a few moments ago. So there's their information. And I have been wanting for the last few years a yarn advent calendar. If you guys aren't familiar with this, there are lots of sellers on Etsy and in your local yarn shops too, potentially, where they put together advent calendars for knitters or crocheters or other like fiber artists and yarn artists. I think there are also advent calendars that have like roving or fiber for like people who spin or who want more like art yarn for maybe like weaving and things. But I have been wanting a yarn advent calendar for the past few years. And you can get all kinds, like some that are just the week of Christmas, some of them are all of the month of December, some of them are, the 24 days up to, and then you get something bigger on the 25th day. It just depends. They're all so different. So I looked on Etsy, and the ones that I really, really wanted, I waited too long and I couldn't get them. They'd all been sold out. So I was on Facebook and I followed Dixie Knits on Facebook because we're in Pensacola a lot, and I recently, like this year, discovered their yarn shop. I don't know why I'd never gone before because we go to Pensacola all the time. But I'd gone to their yarn shop for the first time this summer, and it was a lovely, lovely yarn shop. It was very nice, and the ladies there were very helpful. And so I followed them on Facebook after going, and I saw that they had an advent calendar that they were selling. They only had, I think, 5 of these in stock, but as soon as I saw it, I called them and asked, hey, can you ship this to me if I buy this? I really want it. And she was like, yeah, of course. Of course we can. And they were really lovely. And so it arrived. The yarn advent calendars do tend to be a little bit more expensive. So I thought I wanted to talk to my husband about it before I bought it. And also I got on to their website because I want to show you their little like upload of this, because they've got this on their Facebook page. Here it is. Okay, I found it. So anyway, I came up on there because I tagged them a while ago. So like when I get on their Facebook page, like one of the first things that pops up is like me, which I was like, what? I was like, what is happening? But I posted something and tagged them this summer, so that's why I'm on their Facebook page. Anyway, so it is a little bit more expensive, but the yarn advent calendars tend to be, which is, you know, the main reason why I hadn't bought one the last few years. But my husband was like, just get it. You will love it, and it will make you very happy. And it's, you know, not gonna destroy us financially, so like, it's not a big deal. I think he had just bought some stuff for like video gaming or something too, so maybe he was feeling like extra, I don't know, like this would even us out or something. I don't know, but you know, I always appreciate his support when I want to do something that, you know, would make me happier, that I would enjoy. So yeah, this is, they call it the Small-A-Day kit from Emma's Yarn, and they say each day in December open a silky surprise. There are knit and crochet ideas on the tag. So like when you I think when you tag it on like Instagram, you can get knit and crochet ideas. She was talking to me about this when I was on the phone, and yeah, like I think you either tag it on Instagram, or you can find different ideas for how to use the kit yarn somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. I'll find out when I open it, but it's not December yet, so I can't open it. So there are 2,025 yards in this Small-A-Day kit, and it is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk. Yeah, they're only 5-inch stock. So here's the picture. Here's the picture of the kit. So if you haven't already gotten an advent calendar, a yarn advent calendar, and you want one and you haven't seen any on Etsy that you really like, or they're sold out, maybe try giving Dixie Knits a call and see if they have any in stock still. I don't know if they do. They might be sold out. I turned the brightness up so in case you could see it a little bit better, but it looks really, really, really cute. And I think that they paid for shipping for me, which was really lovely of them. So yeah, they, you know, gave me the little card with the information with like a little note on the back, and they gave me my receipt, which is good. They also included in here a little Post-it note thing, some Post-it notes, and their business card with a little turtle stitch marker. So if you don't know, Pensacola is a coastal town in Florida. I think the little stitch marker is very cute. It's such a cute little turtle. And this is cute on the back of their business card. It has yarn project ideas. So that's very cute. But yeah, I'll put this information in the description for you guys if you want to order something from them. They've got all kinds of other stuff too, but if you are wanting an Advent yarn calendar and you haven't gotten one yet, this is I think this is going to be a good one. I'm really, really excited about it. Again, I don't know if they've already sold out of them, but if they haven't, like, it's definitely worth checking out. So she wrapped it nicely for me. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. It actually smells very, very good. It smells like, you know, yarn, like sheep, which is blissful. But it also smells slightly Christmas tree-y. So it's got this like very faint, like evergreen kind of scent to it. So I don't know what's in here that's making it smell like that, but I'm so excited to find out. Actually, when I opened the box that it came in, there might have been was it a bag? When I opened like the bag it came in, so it came in like a shipping bag from like the post office. When I opened it, it smelled much more strongly of like evergreen, which was wonderful. I was so excited. It made it feel much more holiday-y. But yes, I'm so excited. I will probably open this on camera for the first, I guess, vlog for Vlogmas. I don't know yet if I'm going to do daily vlogs or if I'm going to do weekly vlogs. I might do like every few days, because every week, yeah, I don't know. I might do every few days. Well, I might do every week because I usually post a podcast episode on Sunday or Monday. I did Tuesday this last week because it was just a weird week with the back injury. But I usually post a podcast on Monday or Sunday or Monday. So maybe I'll post a vlog for Vlogmas like every Wednesday or Thursday. Don't hold me to that. So I'm not committing to that this moment. So don't get angry if that doesn't happen. Or at least, you know, I suppose you're allowed to feel however you feel, but I'm not trying to make you empty promises. So if that doesn't happen, this is not me making an empty promise. But I think that that sounds good to me, and I think I could probably do that pretty okay. I think that December 1st is on a Wednesday. So yeah, so maybe I could do like my first episode on, like my first Vlogmas episode on like maybe not this coming Wednesday, but the next, so December 1st. And that could be me opening this up and maybe just vlogging something else kind of Christmassy. And then after that, I could do so that would just be like the one day, but then after that, it would be like a week's worth, like once a week. I think it's probably how I'll do it, because I think I could. But again, if that doesn't happen, please don't come at me, because, you know, I'm pretty busy. I'm not gonna lie. I lead a fairly busy life. I work, yeah, like I work full-time, and I'm also actually in the dissertation phase of my PhD, so I'm busy. So that might not happen, but yes. So I wanted to share that with you guys. That is something I recently got as an acquisition that I'm extremely excited about, but also, I wanted to let you know, in case you wanted an advent calendar, like a yarn advent calendar, and you didn't have one, this might be an opportunity to get one real quick. Or if you didn't know they existed until just now, you can get on Etsy or anywhere else that sells yarn and see if there are any available for that. Dixie Knits sent this out to me pretty quick. It arrived within a week. So I think it was more like 4 or 5 days. So I would recommend it. I'm very excited about it. So that is, I guess, my actual acquisition segment. Kind of my pseudo acquisition segment is like stuff that I'm thankful for that I already have. But first I need tea. And actually, I brought the tea box with me so that I could show it to you guys. This is one of my very favorite teas. I like it all year round, but particularly when it's colder, I really like it a lot. And it's a pretty popular tea, so you might already be familiar with it. But it's the Good Earth Sweet and Spicy. It's got a lot of great stuff in it. They do have a decaf version as well. This is just their regular caffeinated version, but they have a decaf version. It has black tea, natural flavor, which I'm not crazy about, but it's okay. It's hard to get stuff that doesn't have natural flavor in it. Okay, so black tea, rosehip, lemongrass, cinnamon, chamomile, peppermint, jasmine green tea, anise seed, ginger root, orange peel, and orange oil. And it is very lovely. I love this tea. It's very spicy and warming, and it's already sweet because of the anise. So you don't have to add like stevia or sugar or like any kind of sweetener to it, unless you like really sweet tea, but it's pretty sweet already. So I never add any sweetener to it. And the longer you leave the tea bag in it, the spicier it gets, which is fun for me because I have a hard time finding teas that are spicy enough for me. This one does it. There are a few chai like mixes that are spicy enough for me, but I have a hard time finding a spicy enough tea. So I like this one. It can be highly spicy, depending on how long you let it steep. Zingy. So that is what I am drinking today. So now we'll actually do my mindfulness / acquisitions. It's not really acquisitions, it's mindfulness, mindful gratitude maybe. Thanksgiving is on Thursday this week, so if you're in the US, happy early Thanksgiving. If you are not in the US, you might have other holidays where you live that kind of celebrate or focus on Thanksgiving. If you're not from the US, you might not know. The way most Americans celebrate Thanksgiving is probably not very gratitude oriented. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with the way a lot of people celebrate Thanksgiving. You know, a lot of the times it's seen as a time to just spend with family, to kind of do some traditions like certain types of food, maybe watching certain football games, you know, things like that. So there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But I do like to have kind of a big emphasis on gratitude on the day of Thanksgiving, but then also kind of the whole week. I practice gratitude a lot, I guess, in my life. So it's very important to me. But the week of Thanksgiving, I really tried to be a lot more intentional about it. I'm pretty intentional about it every day, but I'm like extra intentional the week of Thanksgiving. And a lot of people do have cool traditions around this. Like they'll make like a Thanksgiving tree where every member of the family like will write something they're thankful on like a little like paper leaf, and they'll like hang it all over the tree. A lot of families, when they sit down for their Thanksgiving meal, like they'll go around and every member of the family will share things they're thankful for. So this practice of gratitude is a part of the holiday and the tradition for a lot of people. So I don't want to like, you know, act like it isn't, because it is for a lot of people. I know for a lot of other people it's just not, which I guess is fine. Like I'm not going to tell people what to do. And I know like at different points in your life, you know, gratitude is easier than at other points in our lives. You know, I would maybe argue that at those times where gratitude is hardest, maybe it could be the most beneficial or the most important, because it maybe it puts some light into the dark places of our life. And that's not to diminish or invalidate or ignore the things that are hard in our life. But I think, you know, remembering like the either the blessings or the good things, or that for which we're grateful, just maybe creates some like balance in those really hard times, instead of us being just very focused on the hard things, which can happen sometimes. Again, not necessarily of any fault of our own. It's a very like natural sort of thing that we do. Like our nervous system in a lot of ways, you know, is kind of built to target, you know, and notice negative things as like a survival kind of mechanism. So in no way am I trying to like make anyone feel guilty for that. It's a very natural sort of process. But in any case, I digress. You know, acknowledging the things that are hard, I think, can be balanced with acknowledging and feeling true gratitude for the things that are good in our lives. And even finding the good within the hard or the bad. Again, not invalidating or pretending like there's nothing wrong in our lives, and just, you know, bypassing it and avoiding by, you know, practicing false positivity, because that's not helpful either, but creating this balance. So I didn't mean to go off on a whole digression about that. I really just wanted to share things I'm grateful for with the knitting. So, you know, take from that whatever is helpful and leave what isn't. I don't mean to like proselytize or anything. So instead of sharing a lot of acquisitions, I am just sharing things that I already have that I'm very grateful for. So I will start with actually this on my, well, it's not going to come off. So this is a ring from Knitter's Pride. It's from their Mindful Knitting collection, which I don't have much from, but I kind of want, I feel like I should have all of the Mindful Knitting collection from Knitter's Pride. But I don't. I just have a couple things. I would love to have all of their stuff, but I don't want to just buy things just to buy things. I want to buy things I actually need and will use a lot. So at the moment, I don't really need any of their things. But if I did have it, I would use it. I would be really happy to have it. So one day, I would love to have all of the Mindful collection stuff, especially since for me, like it has a lot of, I don't know, like personal and really even spiritual significance around a lot of it for me. It's not just like aesthetic. And I think that they had that in mind when they were creating the collection. I think that they were going for more than prettiness. I think they were going for, you know, trying to infuse some of that mindful and connected and fully present living into, you know, things like your knitting. So I love that collection. I think it's really cool. I would like to own all of it. I don't yet, but I do own this, which I'm grateful for. And this is a row counter ring. So if you're not familiar, oh, I got it off. So if you're not familiar with these row counter rings, I love this one. It's like a blue, green, what is that called? It's escaping me right now, like what that effect is, with kind of that like the layers of colors. It's just escaping me at the moment. But anyway, it's a very pretty kind of color, and it's got different numbers on it. So for counting rows, and you just like click your numbers as you go, and it keeps track of your rows for you, which is so useful. And I've only had this for like 2 months. And I definitely use it with my socks. I've used it with a couple of other things I've knitted too. But this just is so great. I don't have to like continue counting my rows every few rows so that I don't lose track and then knit too many rows and have to like rip back or what I was doing, try to keep track on my phone. It was just all a huge mess. So they also make row counters that you can put like on the end of your needle and kind of click as you go, which is a cool idea too. I can't really use those with my circular needles or my DPNs. And those are what I use the most. I don't really use straight needles anymore. So the ring is great. Also harder to lose because it's attached to me. And it's like very easy because I can just kind of like flip as I go. Like I don't have to like reach to the end of something, which isn't a big deal, but it's just a small convenience that is wonderful. Yeah, so I love my Knitter's Pride row counting ring. I highly recommend them. It saves me some stress. Obviously I can knit without one. I've knit without one for 10 or 11 years, but it just makes my knitting so much more enjoyable. And it's so much less, not that it was stressful for before, but it kind of eliminates any kind of even minor stress that there was. So very excited about my ring. Another thing that I'm really grateful for is this bookcase for me to put my yarn stash in. I had never had a yarn, and I'm just actually even having a yarn stash. This is the first time I've ever had a yarn stash, just in the last few months. I've, again, been knitting for like 11 or 12 years, and I just didn't really have a yarn stash. I had just a few skeins of yarn at a time, like no more than like 5 to 10 skeins of yarn at a time. And they were all for like projects that I was like working on. Or it was like free yarn that, or very cheap yarn that I'd found somewhere someone had given me. And it was all like, yeah, all like cheap yarn. It was all like acrylic. And so I didn't really have like a stashy stash. And I also always had it like in a drawer or like in a bag or like in my closet or something like that. So I'm really, really grateful, honestly, that I am at a point in my life where I'm able to have a yarn stash. And it doesn't give me like stress or anxiety to have it either. Like it would have probably really stressed me out a couple of years ago to have a yarn stash because I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it. I would have been so stressed out by all the yarn that was just sitting there. Kind of the same thing that happens when I have more than 3 projects at a time and that stresses me out. Having yarn just sitting would have stressed me out. So I'm really, really thankful that I'm at a place in my life where I'm able to have a yarn stash. I have a bookcase that's like a perfect kind of size with its cubbies for me to put my yarn in and have it organized and out so I can look at it, because I find joy in just looking at it and imagining the projects that I'll make, and feeling my yarn. And half of the fun of knitting is just having your yarn, I think. And it looks different skeined up than when it's knitted up. So I love the beauty of a skein of yarn because it does transform when you knit it. It looks completely different. You know, for example, like this skein, you know, this is Steamboat Rock by Nanette Wake Studio, in case you're curious. But this skein just has this beautiful kind of like watercolor sort of like effect. And if you're curious about it, now that I have it out, I'll show it to you. I do think she probably has more of this in her shop. I think. I say that. She might not, but I think she does. I think I saw some recently. But yes, this looks very different than like this. And this is probably, it'll look similar to this when it's knit up because of the way it's dyed. So it won't look exactly the same, but it'll look pretty similar, where all of these beautiful like washes of color will turn into these like little like bits of color. So I just love to like look at it because it will never look like this again after I knit it up. And so yeah, I love that I'm able to get indie dyed yarns, to get hand dyed yarns, that I can get, you know, fingering weight and merino and Surrey silk, and I have all these yarns and they make me so happy. And I get to see them every day because my like office is down is here, like my desk is over there and my craft station's over there, and my yoga space is like right here. And so like I'm in here pretty much every day, and so I get to see my beautiful yarn every day. And so I'm so grateful. I wasn't able to have a yarn stash for years, my whole life until now. And now I have it, and I'm just so grateful for it. Yeah, it's very cool. Other things that I'm really grateful for, I won't go off on like a huge tangent about each of them. I'm very grateful for this chair. It's a fairly new acquisition. I got it this summer, and it's very comfortable. I have chronic back issues, so this latest back injury was a lot. It was pretty intense. But I have chronic back issues, so it's hard for me to not be in pain and to feel comfortable. And this is one of the few chairs I've ever had in my life where I feel very comfortable. And it's here with my yarn stash, and it's like a teal velvet, you can see. So it's just, I love everything about it. It's very, very comfortable. I can sit in it for hours. And it's like a fun velvet, and my yarn stash is right. So I'm very grateful for this chair. I sit in here and knit a lot. I also meditate in this chair a lot, just because it's so comfortable. It's very easy to meditate, do like sitting meditation in this chair. Let's see. So I'll just share, 3 other things I'm grateful for. So another thing I'm grateful for are my, I think these are called super snips. They've got like the little removable like cover on them, and they're super sharp and they're super tiny. And I just love that, you know, somebody somewhere took the time to invent teeny tiny scissors for crafters, for people who sew or who do fiber arts or whatever. And in particular, whoever made these, I'm grateful for that person and everybody who sells them, because these are really sharp and great. And they're so small and so portable. You can take these on a plane and nobody's going to be upset with you. They can go in your purse very easily. Since it has a cover, it's not going to poke stuff. So I love these, and I am so grateful for them. Those I got at the Sow's Ear, which is a yarn shop in Verona, Wisconsin. So if you're curious. And then a couple other things I'm also thankful for is retractable measuring tapes. I had never had a retractable measuring tape until I went to the Sow's Ear and they gave me one. And it's amazing. I've been wanting one for a couple years, and I've just been using like regular like tapes for like seamstress like measuring tapes, which do not retract. So I just had this messy tangle of measuring tape in my project bag or my purse or whatever, and I'd have to, it was just a whole big ordeal. It's really not that bad. It's not really anything to complain about. But a retractable measuring tape is so much neater, and you just press your little button and it all winds back up, and it's amazing. And I'm very grateful for it. Again, it's a small thing that just makes my knitting so much less stressful, which is what I want, because my knitting is my hobby. I don't need it to bring me stress. And then the last thing is stitch markers and progress keepers. I had never used a stitch marker or a progress keeper until this year. The first time I used one was when I was knitting lace this summer, and I realized as I was knitting the lace and I kept kind of getting thrown off and forgetting the pattern, and I was like, wait a minute, I think this is why they made stitch markers. And lo and behold, when I started using stitch markers, the lace got so much easier to just knit, and I didn't have to worry about like messing up a whole row. Like I could kind of keep track with each section of lace. And I made many fewer mistakes too, because just the visual reminder of the stitch marker coming up like helped me keep track of where I was at. So blessings on anybody the people who invented stitch markers and progress keepers, blessings upon them, because again, it's not necessary, but it just eliminates unnecessary stress. And they're so cute. Like I've got my little turtle one, and then I have some Christmas ones I'm going to show you guys soon. Not today because it's still November, but next podcast episode I'll show you some Christmas ones. Yeah, I love them. Progress keepers help me with longer projects because sometimes it can, for me, but I think a lot of people experience this when you're knitting like a larger project, especially if it's kind of the same thing over and over again. It can kind of feel like you're not making any progress and it's taking a million years. But I just slip a little progress keeper on there, and then after an hour of knitting, I can see like, oh, I've knit this much. I am doing something with my life. So I'm very grateful for both of those things. They, I think, have just enhanced my knitting experience and made it even more joyful. So blessings upon those who invented stitch markers and progress keepers. I am very grateful to you and your inventions. And everybody who makes them, I'm also very grateful for. All the makers, especially the makers that I have benefited from in my knitting journey, I suppose. So all of you who make notions, who have your own yarn shops, who are indie dyers, who have Etsy shops, who make t-shirts that have yarn puns, and then all of the podcasters that I have been influenced by. I am very, very grateful for all of you guys, and I can't really express my gratitude in words. Knitting has brought so much joy to my life, and all of these people have made it possible for me to have this much joy in my life. So I'm just so grateful. Yes. So I guess that's kind of our mindfulness segment for this week, a very informal kind of just gratitude. I have lots of like formal gratitude practices, I guess, that I'll probably share with you guys as we go along. But for today, I just wanted to do a very informal sort of gratitude. And this is the kind of thing I guess I think about all the time, but I wanted to very intentionally do it this week for this episode since it is Thanksgiving week. And there's so much I'm grateful for and want to give thanks for with my knitting in particular. And I guess on that note, I'm also very grateful for you guys. We have a small community here on this little corner of the internet, but it's one that I am loving quite a lot, and I'm immensely grateful for. And so thank you for joining me on this channel and for your comments on the videos on my Instagram, and then any of you who have sent me anything on Ravelry or joined the group on Ravelry, just thankful. I'm just so thankful for you. So thank you. Alrighty. So I'd be curious to hear, this kind of leads into our questions for this week. I am curious what you guys are thankful for with your knitting or your crochet or your crafting in particular, but feel free to comment anything that you're grateful for, because there's so much to be grateful for. Again, I recognize there's a lot of hard stuff too, and I am not trying to ignore those things in life whatsoever. But since it is Thanksgiving week, I think that, maybe some intentional time reflecting on that for which you are grateful could be good. And in particularly with your knitting, because there's so much to be grateful for with our knitting. What a time to be alive. They didn't have all of this stuff 100 years ago when they were knitting. They didn't even have us 50 years ago when they were knitting. And Etsy has transformed everything. So I'm also grateful for Etsy. I could go off on a very long tangent about gratitude. So I will cease and ask what you guys are grateful for, specifically around knitting or crochet or crafting. And then I also wanted to ask you guys about any kind of Thanksgiving traditions that you might have. So if you or your family celebrates Thanksgiving, what are some of your traditions? I'll share some of our traditions. So we do all get together on Thanksgiving. Typically we get together with my husband's family on Thanksgiving Day because they have slightly older children who enjoy the holiday a little bit more. My side of the family has much younger children who they're all under the age of 3. So like they don't really get the whole Thanksgiving thing yet or holiday thing yet. Like to them it's just another day. So we spend Thanksgiving Day with my husband's family, and there's usually like cousins and things there, and everybody brings part of the food or part of the meal. So we've usually got like 2 or 3 turkeys, and just so many sides. And his sister will often like organize some sort of themed games. So we'll often play something like Fishbowl, like Thanksgiving edition, or other kind of Thanksgiving games. And then she'll have like crafts for the kids a lot of the times that the adults can also partake in. So yeah, that's what we kind of do with his family. And then with my side of the family, we usually will spend like the weekend with them and do like second Thanksgiving. And we watch the parades. We also watch the Purina dog show. That's my favorite part. I love seeing all the dogs. I love all the dogs. And then we also, we have turkey and some foods we always have are like green bean casserole. I make pies. I always make a pumpkin pie. But I also will make like sweet potato pie, pecan pie, like other types of pies too, depending on the year. Because I really like baking pies. This year I think I might do a casserole too. Yeah, so we just eat like a ton of food, and we'll usually at my parents have either a bonfire or we'll start the fire up in the fireplace and we'll like roast marshmallows. So yeah, we don't really do a lot of games or anything, but we definitely have the the parades, the dog show, food, fire with marshmallows, and then we will often watch Miracle on 34th Street that night, because if you're familiar with the movie Miracle on 34th Street, both the newer edition and the older edition, I think the older edition was originally black and white. I do think that they remastered it for color a few years ago. I don't remember. You'd think I would know since I watch it every year, but it's just escaping my mind at the moment. I love both versions. I really like I think the newer version was in the 90s. I think it came out in the 90s, like late 90s, possibly early 2000s, but I'm pretty sure it came out in the late 90s. I do prefer that version, probably just because it's very childhood-ish to me. And like, I very vividly remember what the 90s were like. So like, it seems like very much part of like my like childhood too. So I think I relate to that one a lot more, probably. But in any case, we watch that on Thanksgiving evening or the day after Thanksgiving. Because if you're familiar with the movie, it starts with the Thanksgiving Day parade. So it's a really fun, at least to me, I think it's a very fun transition from Thanksgiving season into Christmassy season. But we have to do it at the end of the day on Thanksgiving or the day after, because I can't do anything Christmassy until after Thanksgiving is over. I need to have my holidays separated. That probably relates back to the whole I can't have too many things going on at the same time in my brain. I'm noticing a pattern. But yes, so those are my family traditions. Yeah, I try to wear Thanksgiving-ish colors, like autumnal colors. And then I personally do a lot of like gratitude, meditation, and prayer, like throughout the whole week of Thanksgiving, but definitely on Thanksgiving Day. Maybe some like gratitude journaling or making a gratitude list or something like that. So yeah, those are some of my traditions. I'd be very curious to know what any traditions you have are. What are some of your traditions? Words are hard sometimes. But yeah, I'd love to know Thanksgiving traditions for you. And then also, do you knit on Thanksgiving? Like, yeah, are you trying to be like super present with everybody on Thanksgiving if you're with family or friends on Thanksgiving? Are you trying to be very present and intentional, or are you taking your knitting with you that day? I don't know what I'm going to do this year. I'm probably not going to get to knit very much. I'll probably get to knit in the car, like on the way to our family's house, because they live a couple hours away. But I don't think I'll knit very much while I'm there for Thanksgiving, mostly because my niece is 3 years old and I'm going to be wanting to hang out with her. So I don't really anticipate knitting a lot. Like if she's playing with some of the younger cousins or something and I'm not out there with them and I'm just hanging out with the adults, maybe I'll do some knitting. But maybe I'll just bring some socks to work on just in case. But I anticipate that I'm not going to get to knit very much, because if I'm with my niece, I want to be like with my niece. So I don't know. But then when I'm at my family's house, I'll probably do some knitting, because there will be times where we're sitting and watching the parade or the dog show or Miracle on 34th Street, and I want to have my knitting for times like that. So yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, if you're bringing knitting with you on Thanksgiving, and if so, what are you knitting? I'm going to be knitting Christmas presents because I have a lot of things to knit before Christmas. So that's what I'll be knitting. But are you guys knitting Christmas presents during Thanksgiving, or knitting something autumnal, or knitting something kind of random, or what are you knitting on Thanksgiving, if anything? Yes, I think those are all my questions. I feel like I asked very many questions this week. So I guess I'll close it out for now. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I had a lot of fun, like I always do. And I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, then just happy week to you. I hope that there are many things to be grateful for, and that your blessings feel very obvious to you this week, and that I don't know, that gratitude just kind of like makes your life a little bit happier and nicer, and warms your heart a bit this week. So I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. I guess I'll see you on, I'll still try to post a podcast this weekend. If I, like this coming weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so I might do a vlog. Like I might do like a Thanksgiving vlog instead of a podcast episode. Or I might just do like a very short podcast episode. We'll see. So yeah, we'll see what happens, because I might be at my parents' house. And if that's the case, I don't know what the internet's going to be like and all of that kind of thing. But I'll try to get something out to you guys in a week, so that we're not just skipping an entire week of podcast or video-ness. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.